Super excited for today's conversation. Today is someone that knows a ton about high performance, not really just in business, but also in life.
Balance isn't about standing still. It's not about splitting time perfectly between work and life. That's a myth. Real balance is momentum. It's knowing when to lean in, when to step back, and how to stay in control when everything is moving fast. Brian Manning built his success by rejecting the outdated idea of balance and embracing something better, alignment. The ability to go all in on big goals without losing what matters most. This is Balance in Motion, a new way of thinking, a new way of living. Because the people who achieve the most aren't looking for balance, they're mastering the flow. Let's get into it.
Cari was a professional cyclist, really performing at the highest level. Today, she's dominating Boulder and one of the top realtors in town. What I love about Cari's story is I think she just completely shatters the myth that life is perfect. Whether it's racing on the world stage or now leading one of the powerhouse team in Boulder, Cari's just really all about finding her flow and getting everything to feel good. So Cari is 23-time USA Cycling Elite champion. Is that right?
That's
23
right.
times. That's amazing. She sits on multiple boards, supports several nonprofits. Cari, I'm super excited to dive in this conversation today. Thank you for being here. And I'm just ready to talk about, just how I think balance is BS and how we really try and perform at the highest level possible. And the reality is it's hard. So welcome and thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm super excited about this conversation. I think anytime you and I talk, Brian, I always learn a little something. So while I'm open book and I would love to share, like what I know and what I've done wrong and what I've done right, I also want to hear from you. So when it comes to this mythical balance thing that we talk about.
Yeah, just so if we look at social media, it's just such a facade. Everybody looks so perfect. But I think the reality is like if we peel the onion back, the reality is that life is hard. And we're all really struggling, and there's enough, content out there about how perfect everybody is. But if we really kind of break it down, life is hard. And whether you're a high producing person, entrepreneur, athlete, or a high school kid, it doesn't really matter where we are or what age, life is just hard. I just love to talk about how do we get through this and what are you doing to find kind of your flow in life with work and fun and travel and everything, because we're trying to do as much as we can.
Yeah, amen. I think like that's just a sign of our times, isn't it? Because I don't feel like life was super hard when I was 20 years old, but I
No.
actually think that 20-year-olds do have a hard life now. Like people are like,
Yeah.
oh, they have it easier than I think I do in the working world. But I think social media and like the pressure we feel from our society and our culture for success and whatever, just that,
Yep.
it's tough on all age groups. I'm with you.
Yeah, it is. It is. So,
And it's a lot easier for you and I, like in our 40s,
but yeah,
to like intellectually understand what that pressure that we're dealing with and that
that's
emotion
right.
versus someone when they're 16 or 20 or what.
Yeah. Well, you kind of care less as you get older too.
Yeah,
So,
it's true.
so we didn't have that pressure when we were younger. I don't think we did. Now, younger people have so much pressure. It's just so different than what we experienced. But I feel like as we get older, we kind of just care less as well,
Yeah, that's right.
which is great to see. All right. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go
Yeah.
back to a little back to the cycling world.
Okay. Oh God, here we go.
So when you were professionally racing, did you ever feel like you had balance? I mean, I've never been a professional athlete. If I was a professional anything growing up, as a partier.
Yeah.
So so I can't relate to this at all. But if we go back and that world, did you ever have any balance in there, or was it just kind of like trying to find this flow in this chaotic life?
Yeah, that's a great question. No, I'm just going to answer there. There is no balance. As a professional athlete, it doesn't matter what sport it is. I've said this to people before and they look at me like, are you crazy? Because it says something about me that I was able to do it.
Right.
I think being a professional athlete is absolutely the most selfish thing you can do. There's zero balance in life because it's like every single day you wake up, it's all about you. What are you eating? How are you resting? What's your workout of the day? How's the weather going to affect you? Not like, how can I wonder what my, my workout partner or my husband needs today. It's like, it is really the most selfish thing ever. And so there's no balance. I mean, at the level I was, there's plenty of people who race their bikes or are athletes at a certain level of which they have to balance everything, right? You have a full-time job, you have kids, and you're training for an Ironman, as an example. But the level that I competed, it did not allow for balance. Like, and that kind of fed, not the self, I don't feel like I was a selfish person. That was like the hardest thing for me to accept, but it definitely fed this all or nothing thing that I kind of thrive in, to be frank. And we'll dig into that. I'm not proud of that, but being an athlete at that level, zero balance, like, it's like, that is such a bullshit word in my mind. Still is, but we'll get to that too.
So all or nothing. So,
Yeah.
I mean, let's dive into that. So, I mean, a lot of us are these high type A personalities where it is just all or nothing.
That's right.
So how do you balance that now? Because, I feel like we're always just trying to win at the highest level possible at whatever it is, personal, athletics, et cetera. And it is a really hard thing to pull together.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I don't, not to like poo-poo your topic here, but I hate the word balance. I just don't think it's a thing. I don't think it's a thing. For years, I tried. For years, I was like, I'm going to bet, 2022 is the year of balance. Like, I'm going to balance my life. And the truth is that doesn't exist for me in my personality, because I am an all or nothing person. What I've learned with that, though, is I have to set boundaries. So boundaries is like, I am an all or nothing person in my marriage too. Right? Like, so like, that is very important to me. Vacationing is very important to me. Exercise is very important to me. So in the world of work where I am all or nothing and I'm all in and I'm super focused and it is all or nothing for me, but I also have to know that I have to create boundaries of where my work interferes with my personal life. My work interferes with vacation. And it's not the other way around. Vacation does not interfere with work. So it's setting boundaries and using that as my form of existence. Like, instead of saying this is balance, because every day is not balance. It's impossible for me to be like that. Yeah.
I should just change.
But I have to find like little moments in that day that I know are feeding my soul too.
Right. Yeah. We should change the name of the podcast. It just balances bullshit. It just seems more accurate.
I would be all over that. Like, it boggles my mind when name change. Like, yeah. When people like, like, oh, like, you should do time blocking or you should do that.
No.
I mean, I agree that there should be some routine that creates like that sets you up to achieve your goals. But I don't believe that this career, real estate, and likely your career at all, is meant to have balance. We're seasonal.
Yeah.
On the daily, it changes. I have to change like my schedule, like almost every day it changes for what I set out for it to be.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, I've always said like the pendulum is always shifting back and forth, and in one season the pendulum is all work and you're just exhausted and you just want to break. And then seasonally it changes, like August in Colorado is a good example. It gets relatively quiet here and then the pendulum shifts and gives you more opportunity to go have some fun.
Right.
But it's always seemed like it's kind of hardcore one way or the other, and you're just trying to find that space in the middle to operate.
Right.
Where you
It is a space in the middle, because if you think of like a teeter-totter, right?
Yep.
Like, everyone's like wants to create this world in which we're like the teeter-totter is just even.
Yep.
And we're like, ooh, life is good, work is good, like everything's happy. And I kind of I can't operate like that.
No.
Because I tried to for many years, and it just made me feel bad about myself for all the way around.
Right.
So it's like a teeter-totter. It's like, I know March, April, May, sometimes February, it's game on, and my teeter-totter is like off.
Yep.
But I also know that I get time in July. I also know like when I go hardcore the other way too. I'm not just going to go on a bike ride. I'm going to go on a 2-week excursion to Majorca, like, so like that's not balance, but it's how I find my flow.
I love it. And was there ever a time that you kind of realized this, maybe even back in the cycling career, where you're just like, whoa, this is intense. And this is, this is not maybe as fun as I thought it would be. And this is, there's just no balance.
Yeah. I mean, I had a big eye-opening, when I was training for Early in my cycling career, I was on like the long Olympic team for the 2012 London Olympics. And I really believe going into that, I was a much more balanced person. I was just kind of like, I was like super fortunate that I was like talented and like, but I had other things going for me. Before that, I had a corporate career that was great. Like, and I learned that one of my downfalls, one of the reasons like I was missing that last like 3% of performance was because I was more balanced than others. Because like on my day off, I wanted to go to the grocery store and I wanted to like hike with my girlfriends because I missed them. And so like that, all of that stuff that I was doing like to create balance in my life or to
Yep.
to have balance in my life was actually like poor, like developing poor performance. So like it taught me what all or nothing really is. Where I thought I thought I was like fully focused and fully determined and fully dedicated. But the truth is like at that level, we're talking about like 3%. And I would
Right.
say in this career also, like if you're going to be at that top level, that 1% in the nation or whatever, most of these people, that is like the same equivalent, I think, to performing at that last 3% of that athletic career, where sometimes you're just, you know what? Sometimes you're just going to have to give up your girls' night. I'm
Right.
not saying that that's healthy.
Yeah.
I'm not applauding that. I'm not bragging about that. But it is an all or nothing thing that you have to like. It's that last 1%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So cycling and real estate, I mean, either of them or, anything at these highest levels really just requires such intense focus.
Yeah.
How do you decide what gets your focus and energy and what doesn't?
Yeah. That's a great question because there's so many things on the daily that like I could get pulled this way and
Right.
like I
Yeah.
could like go down this rabbit hole and like I mean, early in my career it was like, oh, if you just learn how to pay for these leads and you'd get sucked into like whoever called you that day like and I'm doing research on what this new company is that's going to give you leads for $50 a month or
Right.
whatever it is like
Yep.
like you get pulled so many different directions. But really the way now that I stay super clear and focused so I can be 100% on building my business and nurturing my clients is like my goals, right? And they're not numerical goals. They're not like I want to sell, $75 million this year. That's not it. It's my goals for what I want my business to be, what I want my brand to be. And if I'm super clear on what those goals are and what the steps, like the minute steps are to get there, that makes me not be distracted by like
Right.
the squirrel in the corner,
Yep.
right? The shiny new object.
For
Like,
sure.
and so if whatever we're talking about does not help me achieve those goals in any way, small or big, then I'm not going to chase the shiny object. Then,
For sure.
yeah. And even it could be a certain kind of client,
Yeah.
right? Like it could be, like if and it took a while to get there in my career, and I'm sure you're in the same spot, but like you ever sometimes meet a client or a house and you're like, I feel the energy drain here,
Yep.
and I'm not sure that that helps me accomplish my goal.
Right. Yeah. I agree. So how do you track your goals on a continual basis? I mean, obviously we're a lot of us and you for sure self-motivated, but do you have a business coach? How do you keep track of, we'll call it
Yeah.
fun goals? I mean, it's easy to look at
Yeah.
our numbers. The numbers are the easiest thing of all to look at. Volume we want to do, like, I don't really care about that stuff. I'm more
Totally.
trying to figure out fun stuff that's, positively impacting your life with yourself and your husband.
Right. No, I mean, I think that I think what you just said, husband and business coach.
Yeah.
Those are the two people who keep me accountable. And I would say I've got a really awesome network of real estate agents here in Boulder that we've got a great network of women real estate agents who are just so supportive of each other, both within Compass, who I work for, and other companies. And having those relationships really keeps me accountable. So, and accountable for the mythical balance, which I'm not
Right.
striving for, but on
Yep.
my goals, like, right. My husband's the first one to call me out, like whether it's negative energy, that's a big one for me because I'm all about creating your own narrative. And if I feel that there's a negative energy in my life, like I don't want anything to do with it because that's not my narrative. That's not who I am. A very positive person. So business coach for sure. And the
Yeah.
business coach is not a numbers oriented person. It's
Mm-mm.
not, hey, did you make 12 phone calls today? That to me is like, that's a nightmare. Like that, I
Right.
could never do that. My business coach is super nightmare. My business coach is more of a therapist. He's a behavioral psychologist. So he knows what makes me tick as a personality. Like, I'm not unlike a lot of real estate professionals where my brain is super active. Call it ADD, call it whatever you want. But I think that a lot of us, either this business turns us into that or we're good at this business because our brain already operates like
Right.
that.
Absolutely.
So he keeps me in line with, in terms of like, how do you control that brain for its benefit? Like, like how do you use what you've got, which is a gift, that ADD, that hyperactive brain, how do you use that as a gift? My husband keeps me in track with, like, he's really good at, and not nagging, but he's really good at reminding me, like, hey, you said you were going to go on a bike ride this weekend. Like, we're going on a bike ride. You can do an open house from 2 to 4,
Right.
or whatever.
Yep.
So those two people are huge. And then my women's network of agents is amazing here in
That's
Boulder.
amazing. Yeah. And
Yeah.
are there any like mindsets or rituals that you brought from the cycling days into your professional world that you think you still tap into and use?
Yeah, I think you'd probably know one because you're one of my few people I can text so early in the morning. And I'm trying to stop do that. But my morning routine is just like really having like my coffee
Yeah.
hour or hours in the morning, super early when the rest of the world is sleeping. The rest of the world
Yep.
besides Brian Manning is asleep. That is, and I did that when I was racing too. Like, my teammates thought I was insane. But we would be in hotels or host housing or, in a different country or different continent. And it didn't matter how jet lagged I was or what race we did the day before, or even if our race was that night, I would still get up at least an hour and a half before anyone else in the
For
house
sure.
and have my alone time.
Yep.
It's definitely a coffee ritual, but it's also just like how like my brain has some
Yep.
calmness.
For sure.
What do you do in the morning when you get up so early? Like, what's your routine? I'm curious.
Well, first I want to say, I mean, I think some people are morning people, some people are night owls.
Yeah.
I don't think there's really any right or wrong in,
Agree.
where you find your space there. I think it's just figuring out where that space is that you operate the best. What is my routine? So, well, I've never said this out loud. So I wake up at 4:30,
Okay.
make coffee, and first thing I do is read for 30 minutes every day. I was never a good reader.
Yeah.
And I just
That's
committed
impressive.
to reading a long time ago to get better at reading and then just to learn. So, reading skills have gotten better over the years. So, but 30 minutes every day.
And that's before you open a phone or a computer or
I don't look
anything.
at a phone, text
That's
messages, nothing. I haven't
awesome.
paid attention to anything at that point in time. Otherwise, I'm like, it's just too easy for me to get distracted.
Totally. Yeah.
Then I still don't look at my phone or anything, but I have kind of a goal sheet like you're talking about that I constantly update and has nothing to do with numbers or mortgages. It's what I want retirement to look like.
Okay.
Just, really kind of the life that I want to build because I agree with you that it's all about creating your own narrative. I don't need anyone to create a narrative for me.
That's right.
So that's like another 20 minutes to a half hour.
Okay.
And then from there, I plan my day. Still haven't
Okay.
checked email or anything.
Okay.
Looking at my calendar. So planning my day, figuring out what the day is going to look like so I can kind of internally digest what I want to do. And then I
Mhm.
finally open up email. So it's like that first hour and a half, like you said,
Yeah.
and then the day is set. It
Yeah,
feels,
that's how I feel. I feel like with that, it gives me the right mindset. If there's ever a case where I'm sleeping or I'm sick or like for whatever reason, like if I go to a concert the night before and I
yep,
like sleep until like 6:30,
yep,
completely throws off my flow for the
yeah,
day. I
it
feel
does.
scattered and stressed and like it's amazing how that throws my day off.
Yep. Yeah, it's tough.
So,
I feel like there's always, especially in real estate, opportunities and things for us to work on. How do you decide to say no to stuff? Especially even if we go back to like nonprofits you work with, boards you sit
yeah.
on, everyone's always fighting for time and energy. And then you got to guard your own space because you only have so much time in the day. So, how do you decide what to say no to?
Yeah, I mean that's hard. I I I think I learned how to say no in my 40s. I'm 48 years old now. And in my 20s, I'm still a go-getter, but in my 20s, I was like super go-getter, 30s, racing bikes, super go-getter. But I also was like somewhat of is almost like a people pleaser. I just want to make sure I didn't ever disappoint anyone. And I still have that mentality. I don't want to disappoint any of my clients, but I feel myself getting pulled in many, many different directions in the
Yeah.
community. It's really easy to say yes And then what happens is I learned this in my early 40s, and then I'm overcommitted, and then I feel bad about myself. That's a spiral that I can prevent. I recently stepped down off of one of my nonprofit boards, something I've been on the board with for 16 years.
Wow.
That was really hard to do. I'm still super passionate about the project, but it wasn't bringing me as much like joy. And it's the energy thing. So for the last two and a half years, because it started in 2023, 2024, 2023 was the first time I used the words, I'm going to create my own narrative. That was my goal. That was my mantra for the year. And 2023 was a hard year for a lot of people in real estate.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I created my own mantra. No more negativity. I'm not going to talk to you about how bad the market is. Like I might have a moment where I complain about a certain thing, but
Yeah,
like
of course.
this is not, but I'm not going down the rabbit hole of when are we going to, what's going to happen. And then 2024, as we all know, was even tougher. And so I kept that mantra, and it's still my mantra today. Every year, every time that comes around, I'm like, maybe I should change my mantra. I'm like, hell no, it's working.
Nope.
How to say no is if it doesn't feed that mantra, if I'm going to create my own narrative, like I am in control of my emotions. And if something is not giving me the good energy back, I will work 25 hours a day for like personal stuff and work, but like work, and I extend myself for nonprofits and volunteering and giving back. But if it doesn't feed my soul, then that's when I say no. So that is, and I hope I can do that the rest of my life. It is one of the things that I love is community. And I know it sounds so cliche, but it truly, truly is who I am. I love being part of a community. I love giving back to the community, and that feeds who I am. So
Absolutely.
I say no if it stops feeding me.
Got it.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like creating your own narrative is just so powerful.
It's been so good
So
to me
many
the last
people
couple of
just
years.
haven't looked into it, or maybe they just don't believe that they can. And
Yeah.
that's part of it. I agree with you. I would look at 23 and 24. We had great years, and I refuse to let the negativity into my life. It's just not an
Totally.
option. I don't want to see it in the news. I don't want to see it anywhere.
Right. As soon as I
And
even in reading the news, as soon as I start feeling a negative
yep,
emotion about it, I turn it off. I'm done.
yeah,
That's it. That's all the article I'm going to read.
yep,
Because I really believe that, I truly believe, and I feel like that's why you and I get along, positive energy. And like, if you have more positive energy around you, it feeds your own positive energy and
absolutely.
it snowballs. I
Yep,
mean, we all know this. If you've been married for any more than 5 years, you know that negative energy, if you come home and you're pissy, your spouse is going to be like, all of a sudden, like it snowballs and everyone's upset in the house. It's the same thing with business. Like if you're just like, woe is me, and like, this is so hard and I hate this and blah, blah. Well, who are you like, you're not serving yourself by having that
nope,
attitude.
nope,
Like I have moments, trust me,
yeah,
but it's just like positive feeds the positive, and that snowballs. Negative feeds, which side of the fence do you want to be on? I
yep,
want to be on the positive side every
that's
time.
it. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
I like it. So you love to travel.
yeah,
Is there
love,
anything that
love.
you've brought from traveling that you've learned from, other countries? I mean, traveling to me is just such a great learning experience. Anything you've pulled from traveling that you really kind of helps you create this flow in your business or even your family priorities? I mean, one thing
Yeah.
I've learned is when I've been to a lot of developing countries, that people just spend so much time together. We're always so consumed and we're running and going and chasing business or the weekend run, or especially in Boulder, right? Everyone's a pro-am athlete and trying to
Yeah.
aspire to be the healthiest person. And, when you go someplace else in the world, you realize like people hang out.
Yeah.
It's a very different life in many other places. So anything you found?
Well, almost in the same vein, and I hate to like tag on, but it was before you even said that. What I was thinking is what I learned is like European countries and Australian, Asia's a little different. And I haven't traveled as much to Asia as you have, but like they really value vacation, and they
Yeah.
call it holiday.
Yep.
As a standard, it's 6 weeks holiday in Europe, and we don't realize that in the US. We really applaud the hustle, the go, go, go. Look, you're coming from someone who loves the go, 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 who works a zillion hours when I'm working. But I also have learned that that is not the end all be all. In order to revive my soul, it's finding that time, that seasonality, that time where I can go away and be
Yep.
away.
For sure.
So yeah, I think that's what I've learned in my travels is that the American system of working and the applause we give people when you go, oh, how are you doing? Oh, I'm so busy. I can barely, it's like, awesome. That's good to
Right.
hear. Like
Yep.
that's the response when you're like, good for you. You're busy. That's great. So I've tried to stop saying that. Like I've tried to stop when someone goes, how are you? How's business? Oh, I'm so busy. Like, it's just like, I just try to say business is great. Like, I've been getting on my bike 3 days a week. Like, I just try to say something else besides like the woe is me, I'm so busy, because that's such an American thing. We're all
It
patting
is.
each other on the back for it. So,
Right.
look, again, you're coming from someone, talking to someone who we work our asses off. So, and I would not have it any other way. So I'm not insulting that
Right.
lifestyle. Like,
Of
it's
course.
just my personality. I don't know how not to work this way, but I've stopped bragging about it because it's not that
Yep.
cool.
Yeah. I mean, the people around the world, they think we're crazy. They think
Totally.
we're
We
crazy.
are.
Even if you go to Europe, the bank manager will still take 4 to 6 weeks vacation every year. It's just, and like you said, that's just their holiday. And around the world, they just think we're crazy, the amount that we work and what we do.
You mean Spain, the siestas. They quit
Right.
working for 3 hours in the middle of the day
Right.
every day. Could you do that, Brian?
No, no, no,
No.
no, no.
Could you close your computer and walk away
For 3 hours?
and for 3 hours and think I'll come back to it later?
No,
No, but you know why they do? Because they go home and have lunch with their family.
that's right. But the thing is, they all do it. So when
Yeah,
everybody
that's
does
right.
it, and that's
It's
what
just,
that's what they're doing as a city, group, society, whatever, it works for everybody at that
that's
time.
right.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that we need to adopt that lifestyle, and I'm definitely not able to do that in the middle of the day, but I'm just saying, like, I respect the fact that they value time away, they value downtime even on a daily basis.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I think most Americans don't even have dinner with their families every day. You could work,
No.
7 a.m. to 6
Yeah.
p.m. and you go home and like then you're hustling to baseball practice and you're like, we don't value that as much.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy. This episode is all about you, not me. But
But
I feel like for Amber and I, we have
yeah,
dinner every single night,
that's
no matter
amazing.
what. And sometimes I'm flipping exhausted and there's not a
Yeah,
lot
that's
said.
right.
Sometimes but we're always catching up. I just feel like
Yeah,
family dinner is so underestimated. And I learned this when I first met her. She's Italian, her dad's from Italy.
yeah.
Every single night, even as an adult, they all had family dinner.
I
Every
love
single
that.
night. It was a non-negotiable.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Greg and I are starting something. Actually, I should say Greg and my friend Jen are starting something together. I love how I tack on that I'm starting it. I'm not, but it's called longer tables, like Sunday dinner. Like that's how community should come together, is at a
That's right.
long table
Yep.
over food.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's what I've learned from traveling, and like I aspire to be able to like literally like one day I'm gonna do it. One day I'm just gonna go away for a couple months and
Yeah.
say I've worked this hard to be in this position.
Yep. For sure.
And that's my all or nothing. I'm like vacation. Okay, I want to go for 2 months.
That's right. I mean, we call them our travel parents. When we first moved here, we met this guy's name's Chris Rattay. Chris
Yeah,
and his wife Erin, realtors here in Boulder County, did amazingly well for themselves. Every single year when I met them, they left and they would go away Thanksgiving weekend to go spend time with their family on the East Coast, Boston or New York. Then they would leave the country and come back first week of February. No questions asked. Every year, that's what they
love it.
did. They'd throw a party for themselves before they left, like a big goodbye party for their sabbatical where all their friends would come. Everybody knew they were leaving.
Love it.
And we traveled around the world with them. I mean, yeah, did we lay
Yeah,
in a hammock in Africa talking on the phone, making phone calls back here? Yeah, but he's on vacation for 2 months. So who cares
that's
about
right.
the phone call from the
Yeah.
hammock in Africa? You
And
know?
I'm not saying like, look, I don't want someone to listen to this podcast and be like, well, that's the most unrealistic thing ever. I'm just
For
saying
sure.
we should be able to value that. Like maybe aspire to it, maybe set goals that's like, I'm going to be able to like, and it doesn't have to be like expensive vacations. It doesn't have to be a hammock in
Nope.
Africa, right? Like,
Nope.
but like whatever happened to staycation,
Hmm.
2020, March of 2020 was glorious. We
Right.
all had a staycation.
It's true.
Yeah, like I don't know, just like getting back to that where we're able to reset. That's really where I am. Like when we come back to the flow of conversation and the conversation about flow, sorry. And like screw balance. Like unable, not my wheelhouse. I hate that word. I started hating that word 2 years ago, but I do really believe in resetting and and respecting my own values, which my own values are traveling,
Yep.
friends, community,
I
these
love
things.
it.
So, and working that into your life.
I love it. All right. I
Yeah.
got 5 quick, like rapid questions so we can wrap it
Okay.
up. Biggest lesson you learned in cycling you take into real estate?
I learned that I am able to accomplish anything that I focus on.
Nice.
Anything.
I love it. I love it. Vacation, mountains or beach?
Mountains every day.
I like it. You got a favorite
Yeah.
hype song you listen to before a race or like on your way to a listing presentation?
Used to be, and I should do this on my way to listing presentations. This would be amazing. But there's a song that's like, move, bitch, get out the way, get out
I
the
know
way,
that song.
bitch, get out the
Yep.
way.
Yep.
So that was my hype song before races. And yeah, it worked.
I love it. And is there one thing you know now about recovery that you wish you could pull back and you would go tell yourself in your athletic days?
Yeah. I would just say that going to the grocery store and walking the dog and going out to dinner with friends and all that stuff is not recovery, but it does feed the soul.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Cari, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you,
Wonderful to talk
Brian.
with you. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah.
And thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. This was super fun.